Hello everybody and welcome back to Sports Done Right. I am your host Hunter Wright. Joey couldn't be here with us this week. He coaches Little League Baseball. So joining me today is my little brother Chase Wright. Now, got a great show lined up for you guys. Says every host ever.
Sure. But we do.
No, we do. We've got the fourth chapter of the Patrick Mahomes-Lamar Jackson rivalry. We've got a myriad of injuries at the quarterback position throughout the NFL. A whopping 6 quarterbacks were injured in week 2. How many of them were able to play through it? How many of them are going to miss time this week? And how did their backups perform? We'll dive right into that. There's a host of injured veterans, a host of unsigned veterans in the NFL through 3 weeks of the season. How many of them are likely to get a call from a team? How many of them are probably looking at the end of the road? Dalvin Cook allegedly accuses a former Walter Payton Man of the Year award recipient of attempting to injure him. Also, a 16-year NFL veteran has announced that he's retiring from football and going into boxing because, quote, it's a difficult thing to do. And that entices him.
I think Gore's just built different.
And lastly, we crown our offensive and defensive players of the week here on Sports Done Right. Now, if you're strapped for time or you want to just jump ahead to a certain point in the video, all these topics will be time-stamped in the description of the video for your convenience. And without further ado, we're going to dive right into the news here on Sports Done Right. And we're starting off with Game of the Year so far?
Game of the Year.
I'd say.
Game of the Year for sure.
The Baltimore Ravens and the Kansas City Chiefs. Mahomes, Jackson, 4. And Lamar finally getting a win over his quote-unquote arch nemesis, his frenemy Patrick Mahomes. He was currently 0-3 before this game against the Chiefs. Now, the Ravens barely edged out a win here, 36-35, and it was not looking good early on in the game as Lamar Jackson threw 2 interceptions to this man, the Honey Badger, Tyrann Mathieu. But with the Ravens not leading until the fourth quarter, 8 minutes left in the game, Lamar ran off the right end, front flips into the end zone for a 1-yard touchdown. If you want to call this a front flip, what would you call that?
I would just call it Lamar being Lamar.
And so Lamar, front Lamar'd into the end zone. And John Harbaugh asks him if he wants to go for 2. He says, hell yes, which is definitely the right call. They had nothing to gain from just kicking the extra point. Unfortunately, the 2-pointer fails. They take a 1-point lead, 36-35. But Clyde Edwards-Helaire fumbled a football. The Ravens recovered and sealed victory.
Same thing happened though when Harbaugh asked him if he wanted to go for it on 4th. At the end.
Harbaugh puts it in Lamar's hands. Green Bay could learn a thing or two from that man.
I mean, they've already just handed him the keys to the palace. Like no one really thought like Lamar would be doing this on the Ravens when we were in the Joe Flacco era. No one saw that coming.
Oh, it's 2 drastically different offenses. Joe Flacco is a statue, and Lamar Jackson is... Well, he's Lamar Jackson.
Props to Harbaugh, though. He's really got that team going.
He does, and I think the trust and faith he puts into his young quarterback is the key to this team's success. Now, this little stunt by Lamar not only gave us an immortal image, but he would also land on his hip, hurt his hip, miss a day of practice, and be fined $20,000 for taunting.
Which leads us to the question.
Why, Roger? Why do you want these guys to show up, just play the game, and do nothing? You want everybody to be Barry Sanders. Remember when Barry Sanders would score a touchdown and just hand the ball straight to the ref? Walk off, act like he'd been there before, and that's fine. But every time,
It's what most coaches tell you to do. be like, look like you've been there before, but we all know you want to celebrate. We
And
all
you-
know you want to.
And your emotions are running high. You got the adrenaline running.
Yeah.
Like,
What's this Lamar Jackson? What is? He's not gonna bury Sanders.
could you imagine if Roger Goodell was commissioner, and he was issuing these taunting fines during prime time's career? Every time Deion Sanders scored a touchdown, that'd have been a fine. He'd cock his head back. He'd have his hand behind his head, holding the ball out. He'd be high stepping into the end zone.
ESPN would have a field day.
Well, Lamar played a great game. He completed 18 of 26 passes for 239 yards, 1 touchdown, threw the 2 picks, as we mentioned. He ran the ball 16 times for 107 yards and 2 touchdowns. He actually finishes 3rd in the NFL in rushing yards after week 2. And he was busting out that jump pass, that old Tim Tebow-esque jump pass.
That dude, when I saw that live, I was like, "This is a game."
Oh,
Like,
we have got ourselves a game.
Because we had already seen Mahomes in the first quarter, the 33-yard pass to Demarcus Robinson, just slings it. Like, I'm telling you, he barely moves and just slings that thing in the back of the end zone.
We know Patrick Mahomes has this uncanny ability to just get the ball out however which way and still make it go 50 yards on a dime.
Yeah.
Lamar is showing he can also get the ball out any way he sees fit, and just to be able to throw the ball with the kind of accuracy that Lamar did while you're in mid-air is insane.
I think another underrated part of this game is the Ravens' defense. In the fourth quarter,
Oh yeah,
Kansas City 0 points in the fourth quarter. 0.
they were outscored 12-0
12 to 0 because of the 2 missed 2-point conversions.
Early on, it was looking like, man, Lamar, you can't get over this team. Kansas City is your kryptonite,
0-4
Superman.
would have been bad.
0-4 is a bad look. But now that Lamar finally got that win over the Chiefs, what's next for the naysayers? They say, oh, you can't do this, you can't do that. The big one was, oh, well, you can't beat the Chiefs. So now we beat the Chiefs, so now what?
They'll come up with something. Because if the Ravens would have lost this game,
Lamar
wouldn't have even...
Lamar would be buried.
They wouldn't even look at the stuff he did in that game. They would just look at that 0-4. Headline 0-4.
Mm-hmm. No, and Mahomes did not play a bad game. Patrick Mahomes was 24 of 31, 343 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 pick. He didn't run for 100 yards, though. No, he ran for 3.
It was a bad pick. It was a bad pick.
You don't see that from Mahomes very often.
I know it was just 1 interception, but it was
a bad.
It was Mahomes. That's not you.
Now, this leads to my next question. Chase, are we looking at the next Brady Manning with Mahomes and Jackson here?
I think so. It's 2 teams, obviously in the AFC that are going to be, in my eyes, pretty good for a while. 2 really good coaches. A lot of young, good players on the team. I think we're going to be seeing them a lot.
This is the future of the league. This is the future of the league. Lamar Jackson and Patrick Mahomes is going to be the quarterback rivalry that shapes the next generation of fans. And to further back that point, Patrick Mahomes is tied for first place for most career wins through his first 40 starts with 32. Lamar Jackson is tied for second with 31.
I didn't even see this coming either. I'm gonna be completely honest. I barely knew who Mahomes was coming out of college. I know a lot of people did, but
I heard of him. But we didn't know.
I heard of him, but I never
we heard of this kid from Texas Tech that could sling it, but we didn't know he was going to be this.
And look what Kingsbury is now doing in Arizona with Kyler Murray. That guy's got these quarterbacks rolling.
Yep. It's the new guard, the mobile quarterbacks that can throw the ball like nobody's business. And next on deck, there's something going around the league, and it's not COVID, it's the injury bug.
Every year.
It's always going to be injuries in football, but we had 6 quarterbacks get injured in week 2. 7 if you want to count Lamar being held out of practice for a day, but I'm not going to count that. We had Tyrod Taylor suffering yet another injury in his up and down career.
Unfortunate. Just unfortunate.
Tua Tagovailoa suffers his second injury in 2 years in Miami. Carson Wentz, these are all guys that can't stay healthy.
No.
Tyrod, Tua, Carson.
Andy stayed pretty healthy throughout his career.
Yeah, Andy Dalton is a surprise on here. Dalton, not a quarterback that's known for being injured all the time. He's suffered the worst of it.
Yeah, but the worst time for him.
The worst time.
Justin Fields is now coming.
The worst time to get hurt is when you got a young gun, a young lion nipping at your heels, foaming at the mouth for your job. Now, Fields has been a great teammate for Andy, and he's been a great supporter of Andy. But when he gets that opportunity, he's gonna run with it. And Derek Carr and Baker Mayfield both suffered injuries, but they didn't miss any playing time. They powered through. So we're gonna get into the first of the injuries. Tyrod Taylor
and giraffe neck Davis Mills.
God, I haven't seen a neck like that on a quarterback since Steve Rogan.
Oh man, this is bad. But
The internet's been having a field day with Davis Mills' neck.
You just can't let the internet get something out of you.
What's he supposed to do? You can't hide that.
Should have just refused to go in the game. You can't hide it. You can't hide it.
But Tyrod Taylor, who I firmly believe Tyrod Taylor could be a starter on any team in the league.
For sure.
He's athletic. He's got a great football mind. He's been around, so he knows a bunch of different offensive schemes. He's got the talent. He's a very well-rounded quarterback. He can run, he can throw, but he just cannot stay healthy. And here on Sports Done Right, I'm actually going to be doing a special edition of Sports Done Right. It'll be a special feature on the career of Tyrod Taylor because I want to do more than just this weekly show. I want to do these little docu-series here on the channel. And our first one will be on Tyrod Taylor. I'll let y'all know when we get that one up. But Tyrod has actually been playing very good this season. And he suffered a hamstring injury on a 15-yard touchdown run, and he was taken out of the game at halftime. Now, when he came out of the game, he had a 144 passer rating. He completed 10 of 11 passes, 125 yards and a touchdown. He had a 15-yard rushing touchdown. He was on a tear.
Dude,
it was tearing up the Cleveland defense.
Just listen to these numbers. Through 1.5 games of football being played, Tyrod Taylor was 31 for 44, 415 yards, 3 touchdowns, 5 rushes for 55 yards, and a touchdown. He was doing it all. And on a Texan team that people were counting out to start the year.
Oh, they don't have Deshaun Watson, DeAndre Hopkins, or J.J. Watt. This team is going downhill, and then Tyrod Taylor steps up and says, who needs those guys? We're going to make this work.
They also get two running backs that I thought was really good pickups in Phillip Lindsay and Mark Ingram.
Mark Ingram lost 5 years right before our eyes during that Jacksonville game. And Phillip Lindsay is a very good running back. He just also can't stay healthy and seems to have been fumbling the ball a lot. But
he was in an unfortunate situation.
It's a rather small running back, though. But Tyrann, as we said, he had suffered a hamstring injury, was trying to play through it, but at halftime, he checked out of the game. The coaches pulled him from the game. They put Davis Mills in. And when they put in Davis Mills, they proceeded to get outscored 17-7 in the second half. Davis just wasn't getting it done. And Davis had a 58 passer rating, 8 of 18 passing, 102 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. He fumbled the football. The offense just looked completely different without Tyrod Taylor on the field. And Taylor is expected to be out for 4 weeks. He's looking at a Week 7 return. The Texans recently played the Panthers on Thursday Night Football, and Bills had a passer rating of 95 during that game, which is better than he did in this game, but still doesn't compare to what Tyrod Taylor was doing.
You guys see the numbers side by side.
168 passing yards and a touchdown in a 24-9 loss to Carolina. It doesn't look good for Houston with Davis Mills at quarterback, and that's not a knock on the young rookie here, but they're just a much better team with Tyrod Taylor in. Now moving on to another injury-plagued quarterback, and that would be Miami's slightly undersized, 6'1", 217-pound, second-year quarterback who had a lot of durability questions coming out of college. And here you see we have the side-by-side of the starters and their backups, but in the case of Tua and Jacoby Brissett, it's not much of a comparison. Tua barely got going.
Yeah, that's... Well, you hate to see that. Like in the game against the Bills.
Only four passing attempts before getting knocked out. Tua Tagovailoa suffered fractured ribs on a 4th down attempt, which I gotta say, opening drive of the game, and you're going for it on 4th down against a team like Buffalo. I like the aggressiveness by B-Flow over there, Brian Flores.
Great coach.
I like that aggressiveness. We don't want to give up any possessions with Josh Allen on the other sideline.
Dude, he's turned around Miami. All these young weapons that they have and what Miami's been able to do in a pretty short amount of time, because they know that division we all thought was going to be up for grabs after the New England era went down, but Buffalo and Sean McDermott
they have cemented their spots as heir to the throne. But so Tua Tagovailoa gets knocked out very early in the game. And like we said, Miami's got a very bright future, but they need some consistency at the quarterback position. He missed half of last season. Jacoby Brissett checked in. He had a passer rating of 59. He threw the ball 40 times, completed just over half of his attempts, 169 yards, no touchdowns and an interception. It just was not a pretty game for Miami. They got shut out 35-0.
Yeah, they were trying to play catch up too from the get-go. Brissett passing it 40 times, like I would have. You gotta do what you gotta do.
Now, Jacoby Brissett is a very capable backup quarterback, but when you're playing against a team that has Josh Allen, you need more than capable. You need more than serviceable. You need more than game manager. You need someone with the potential that Tua Tagovailoa had coming out of Alabama.
Especially a defense like Buffalo. Like if I need a defense in fantasy football, I'm going after Buffalo. Like it's one of those teams where
I would have, but they were taken.
Yeah.
I got San Francisco's defense. Nick Bosa, Fred Warner. That'll work.
Didn't go wrong there.
Yeah. Coming up next, Chicago and Cincinnati. Now,
Fields' time is now.
Andy Dalton led the Bears to an early lead before sustaining a knee injury that knocked him out of the game. And his injury status is currently week to week. So, the news is better than what we thought. Some people thought, oh my God, is that a ligament tear? Is that an ACL, MCL? Nope. No ligament tears. Just a week-to-week injury. So that's the best news Andy Dalton could have received. The worst news Andy Dalton could have received is Justin Fields is going to be starting in his place. Now, Justin Fields, bit of a steal in last year's draft. He fell in the draft. Chicago traded up to get him.
Definitely.
And historically, Ohio State quarterbacks suck in the league, in the NFL. Not a single one of them has ever been successful in the NFL at the next level. They can't produce. But Justin Fields looks like he's going to buck that trend. I hate to say it, but after the game he played against Clemson where he injured his ribs on that cheap shot, and he played the entire game with fractured ribs, and he toughed it out. Like, he proved his mettle to me.
Yeah, and I really don't see Justin Fields giving up this opportunity.
Yeah.
He's gonna take it and run with it.
Now, he didn't run with it too much in this game. He didn't have the best performance, but we've seen what he did in the preseason. We know what he's capable of doing. Now, Andy Dalton, Chicago fans have been calling for Andy Dalton's head from the very beginning of the season.
You see the preseason, all they wanted was to see Fields, and every time he got on that field,
Dalton comes out, boo! Fields comes out, yay! Justin Fields even said, I'm glad that the fans want to support me, but can we stop booing Andy, please?
Yeah, and Andy handled it pretty well.
Andy did handle it well, but his former team was, in fact, the Cincinnati Bengals, and they would be calling for his head at times too. But Andy handled it well. Justin Fields handled it well. But the fans were going to want Justin from the get-go. They were never going to embrace Andy Dalton. And look at the numbers. Andy Dalton had a passer rating of 118. He had a passer rating of 118, and they still were happy to see him get carted off the field.
Doesn't matter how good you do.
No. He completed 9 of 11 passes, 56 yards, a touchdown. He ran the ball twice for 25 yards, which is not something you usually see from him, but he was pulling out all the stops with this young lion nipping at his heels, and with his former team on the other side of the field. He wanted to show his new fan base and his old fan base what he could do. Now, when he got hurt and Justin Fields stepped in, Fields did not play as well as he did in the preseason. He had a passer rating of 27, completed less than half of his attempts, 60 yards, an interception, ran the ball for 31 yards, fumbled it once. And Fields will get to start against the Cleveland Browns. And if he plays like he did during the preseason, that's the end of the line for Andy Dalton.
Yeah, I'm going to have to look for a new team after that.
Yeah. And finally, the big man, Carson Wentz. This is just sad.
Oh, man.
This man injured both his ankles.
Can we just take a second to look? It was Jared Goff and Carson Wentz.
I thought that was going to be one of the better quarterback classes, or top two.
It was looking like it. Carson Wentz,
both of them,
strong start in Philly. Both
of them made it to a Super Bowl in their first 3 years.
Yeah, Jared Goff,
and then just
decent in LA, had a really good team around him. But now you look at it and fast forward, Jared Goff is in Detroit. It's Detroit.
They traded him for a 33-year-old.
Yeah. And then there's Carson Wentz, who just can't stay healthy and found his way in Indy.
And I think people sleep on just how good of a quarterback Carson Wentz is when he's not injured. I maintain, had Carson Wentz not gotten injured in 2017, he would have won league MVP.
Yeah, definitely.
And that was the year that Philly went to the Super Bowl and Nick Foles won it for him. Wentz would have won MVP that year had he not gotten injured. But unfortunately for Carson Wentz, he just can't stay healthy. Wentz was the second overall draft pick in 2016. He has played a full 16-game season only twice in his career. Now, in this game, Carson trying to show the world that he still got it in Indy. He had a passer rating of 86. He completed 20 of 31 passes, 247 yards, a touchdown, and an interception. He's looking good. Those numbers are nothing to sneeze at. Yeah. 37 rushing yards. Big man can move. But then he injures both of his ankles on separate plays. Injured the first one, tried to play through it. Injured the second one. And
Can't run after that. You can't. When both ankles are gone, you just can't run after that.
he plays so aggressively as a quarterback. It's insane.
It's like, bro, you know you're injured, bro.
He's hurt. He's got a bad ankle. He's still trying to run the ball. Then Aaron Donald rolled up the other ankle, and
Oh, it was Aaron Donald? Oh,
Yep.
I didn't even know that.
it was Aaron Donald who,
That's fun.
yeah. Aaron Donald's a big human being. A big, strong human being. But it's currently unknown when Carson Wentz will be able to return. But when he got knocked out, Jacob Eason came in.
Yeah, he doesn't have to worry about the backup taking the spot.
I don't know. Carson Wentz is the only one that I can. Well, Carson and Tyrod Taylor. I am comfortable in saying that they'll have their jobs back.
Yeah.
Andy, I wouldn't count on it. But the other three, when they're healthy, they'll get their jobs back. Now, the Colts favor Jacob Eason as their backup. They have Sam Ehlinger from Texas, who I personally would have ahead of Eason on the depth chart. Sam Ehlinger was a full-on gamer at Texas. He has that never say die mentality. I think he's better than Jacob Eason, but
you can kind of run the same offense.
Yeah.
So with Sam Ehlinger going in for Carson Wentz.
that's a good point. You don't have to change up. You don't have to change up your play calling that much. Ehlinger can do what Carson Wentz does. He's just not as big.
Yeah, look at Jacob Eason. Looks like Slenderman. He's skinny.
Now, Eason came in.
Makes me
He completed 2 of 5 passes, 25 yards, and interception, a passer rating of 16.
I mean, granted, he was in the offense for one more year over Ehlinger, but I don't care.
I think Ehlinger has more upside than Jacob
it
Eason
shouldn't
did.
matter. Like,
Indy lost to the Los Angeles Rams 27-24.
Man, they were in there.
They were
In there with the Rams team that looked really good week 1. Really good. But that's unfortunate. Hopefully Carson Wentz can get healthy again. As long as maybe it's not like that long.
no. Carson won't be out that long.
He's usually getting hurt. There's this year. Like, oh, there goes Carson again.
The second he gets cleared, he's going to be back on a field.
Yeah.
Now, we talked about the Chiefs-Ravens being one of the best games of the entire year. Another game that was really close, another one-point game that came down to the wire, was that of the Arizona Cardinals and the Minnesota Vikings.
Oh, Minnesota fans, I'm sorry. Oh, the kicker there continues.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the other injury bug.
No.
Mhm.
I was talking about the kicker.
Yeah, well, right.
Second field goal.
Right now, the Vikings have bigger things to worry about than their kicker. During the Cardinals' 34-33 win over the Vikings, J.J. Watt dove at the legs of Dalvin Cook, tackling him by the ankles. The play left Cook injured, and he allegedly accuses J.J. Watt of doing it on purpose.
I think Dalvin might die.
Now,
Bad.
what?
I feel he might die. Yeah, it was a really bad injury. J.J. Watt was obviously trying to severely hurt him.
I'll shut up. Now, what amazes me is that this is J.J. Watt, okay? This is not, some Neanderthal like Vontez Perfect. This isn't Vontez Perfect we're talking about here. This isn't Ndamukong Suh. Mr. Step on your neck and crush the life out of you, Ndamukong Suh. Who is still playing, I believe.
He is on the Bucks.
That man is a tail of the hun at defensive tackle. No, we're talking about J.J. Watt, one of the nicest, most charitable human beings walking God's green earth. J.J. Watt's one of those players that you cannot hate.
No.
Believe us, we tried. We're Jaguars fans. We tried hating him.
Didn't
Yeah, you hate him when he's sacking your quarterback. But J.J. Watt himself is not a hateable person. He's such a likable guy. He does so much charity work.
Dude, he's provided so much for this.
He has been a great... In Houston, he was great for that city.
I'm sure he'll carry over the same characteristics in Arizona, too.
Was it a hurricane that had hit Houston a while ago?
Was it? I believe it was Katrina or Harvey. Was it
Harvey? I think Katrina was New Orleans.
No.
Wasn't it?
Maybe I'm not sure.
Not entirely. I get the name. I get the names of these hurricanes mixed up a lot. But when Houston was ravaged by a hurricane, J.J. Watt led the charge in, raising money to rebuild and taking care of people who lost their homes. And J.J. Watt did as much as anyone else did for the city of Houston to rebuild and rebound. And J.J. Watt, he has this cabin in the mountains that he built himself with his own two hands that he could stay and work out in the wilderness by himself during the off season.
You see his training where he in the ice.
Like J.J. Watt's just one of the nicest football players around. Like, what is the worst thing J.J. Watt has done? Probably
sack our quarterback in Jacksonville.
Other than sacking your quarterback, what's the worst thing J.J. Watt has done? That commercial where he teases the guy for having skinny arms? Where the guy's in the muscle shirt and it's a Gatorade commercial and J.J. Watt looks at him and says, "Muscle shirts are for muscles." That's probably the meanest thing J.J. Watt's ever done. I think that's the meanest thing he's ever done. Now, Derrick and T.J. might have other stories, but they're brothers. That doesn't count. Isn't that right?
I'm sure they got some stories.
I'm sure they got some stories of everyone thinks he's so great. He's secretly a terrible person. You know what he did to us when we were growing up?
Look at him as an older brother.
Could you imagine if I was that big when we were growing up? That would not have been a good time for you, my man. But TJ and Derrick are big dudes too. So that whole family is...
It's a machine. It's a factory. They're just processing NFL talent.
Yep. All three of them in the league. All three. They're all top at their positions.
I just want to know what Dalvin was thinking.
JJ is one of the best defensive ends in the league. TJ, one of the best outside linebackers in the league. Derrick Watt even. He's one of the best fullbacks in the league. And he's a true fullback too.
Yeah.
But yeah, Dalvin Cook accusing JJ Watt of trying to injure him. I don't buy it.
What are you thinking, bro?
Also, I watched the play. And I saw nothing malicious about the play. Like, it's a football play. Yeah, yes, JJ kind of went low, but you ran by him. He's doing what he can to get his hands on you and drag you down. This was not him trying. He didn't try to mangle your legs or anything like that. He was just trying to bring you down. He happened to wrap you up by the ankles. And it was an awkward landing. And what kills me, now again, I don't know. This is an allegation. People are saying that Dalvin Cook accused JJ. I haven't heard the actual words from Dalvin Cook's mouth, but the video shows Dalvin Cook laying on the ground. J.J. Watt, being the nice guy that we've established that he is, walked over to him, he kneeled down, and he was talking to him, presumably saying, "Are you okay?" Something like that.
I would hope. Yeah.
And then Dalvin Cook is visibly irritated, starts yelling. JJ kind of stands up. The Vikings offensive line walks over and just moves him along, all right, you got it. They shuffled him away. And everyone in the Vikings looked pretty pissed. But I think they're over it. This is football.
And I would As an offensive lineman, just going off of your running back's reaction, I would see why they would react that way because they really don't know the full situation. They just see that
they're just trying
altercation between
to help their guy. Like, hey, he's getting on Dalvin's nerves. All right. Let's move along, buddy.
But Dalvin, I would say, is definitely in the wrong here.
Now I get that the guy is upset that he's injured. He's been injured before. He's been injured a lot throughout his career. This is yet another injury for Dalvin Cook, so I get why he's frustrated, but you're gonna point your finger at J.J. Watt? I don't think he can do it. I don't. Now, another running back that's been injured, J.K. Dobbins of the Baltimore Ravens, was injured.
Ouch.
And I thought he was gearing up to have a very good year.
Oh, yeah. Dude.
Now, the Ravens added Le'Veon Bell to their practice squad. Which...
Will he play?
Yeah.
I don't know. Does Le'Veon want to play?
Does Le'Veon want to play?
That's a good question.
He's got his money. He's got his Super Bowl ring. And he's got all the fame that he could ask for. Does he still want to play? He seemingly has everything that he could want out of a football career. But there are a lot of aging NFL veterans that remain unsigned through 3 weeks of the regular season. A lot of guys still waiting to get a call from a team, such as Cam Newton, waiting for that call.
He's going to be on that phone for a while.
Cam Newton looks ridiculous.
Not rocking with the hairstyle?
No, he looks ridiculous. He looks like a poorly drawn cartoon. But anyway, Cam Newton, 32-year-old quarterback, 2015 league MVP. He's been to 3 Pro Bowls. And there's no denying that when Cam Newton's healthy, the man's a beast.
Not as much as what he was.
Not as much as what he was, no.
And like, obviously, the New England situation, why didn't they keep him as a backup for Mac Jones?
Now, that did surprise me. I would have kept Cam as a backup.
But it's already been established. They just didn't want him, right there behind him as a backup for a rookie quarterback.
They wanted Brian Hoyer as a backup. Maybe they thought Cam would be a bad influence.
See, I don't even think that. I just think they want Mac Jones with a clear mind. Like, this is your team. You don't have to worry about,
Why re-sign him for as much money as you did? It doesn't make sense to me, but Cam doesn't look like the same passer that he was during that 2015 MVP campaign, but he showed he can still run as well as he ever could.
He can run.
Speaking of guys that can run, you were talking about an all-timer here. AP.
The uniform doesn't look right.
I know. It's weird seeing him in a non-Viking jersey.
That's the last team he played for, right?
I believe so. Adrian Peterson is now 36 years old, which as a running back makes him ancient. He was a 2012 MVP. He's been to 7 Pro Bowls. He was voted to the Pro Football Hall of Fame's All 2010s team. He has 14,820 rushing yards on his career. That is 5th all-time.
He was a monster.
He's played for the Vikings, Saints, Cardinals, and Lions.
Do you think he can still contribute?
I think he can still contribute. Question is, how much money is he asking for, and are you willing to give a roster spot to a running back that is that old? I'd bring him in to mentor a young running back.
Yeah, and the 2 teams that stood out to me the most was the LA Rams and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
I could see him going to Tampa Bay.
It's just one of those teams where they know.
If you're a legend on your last leg, go win a ring with Tom in Tampa.
Yeah, it's like they'll give you the small contract if he's willing to take a little contract.
play behind Ronald Jones and
I know.
Leonard Fournette. But we don't even know if he wants that. Maybe he wants to be the bell cow.
In the Rams, right now, with the offense they're running, I could see him in there. He would have to prove to me that he can still run.
The Rams are out of contention here. They traded for Sony Michel. They're happy running their offense with Sony Michel and Darrell Henderson.
Darrell Henderson's out.
He got injured in the last game?
Darrell Henderson, I believe. Yeah, he was out for the season. Wait.
You're thinking Cam Akers.
Cam Akers.
Cam Akers is out.
That was unfortunate. I thought for sure Cam Akers was going to have a really breakout year, like a really big breakout year.
Yep. But Adrian Peterson, I think this is the end of the line for him. I think he's going to be forced into retirement. Mitchell Schwartz, 32 years old, has been one of the better offensive linemen in the league. He's only been to one Pro Bowl, though. Won a Super Bowl with the Chiefs. He remains unsigned.
It doesn't make sense to me.
I think if anybody has a lineman go down, they'll be giving Schwartz a call. Richard Sherman, the mouth, 33 years old, obviously one of the best quarterbacks in the league during his prime. Voted to 5 Pro Bowls. He's up on the Hall of Fame All 2010s team. 36 career interceptions. Do you see him getting a call?
Again, I don't know what he's asking for, but if I was Richard Sherman, obviously he probably still wants to play, and I don't know what I thought he was doing pretty decent in San Francisco.
He was doing well in San Francisco.
He just didn't.
This is another case like AP. Like I'd bring Sherman in to coach up the younger DBs on the team.
Yeah.
If you've got the money for it.
I was thinking maybe Atlanta. They got AJ Terrell in there, young corner, pretty young cornerback. The whole team is pretty young in that position, but I don't really know. Like if he stays a free agent, it might just be time to call it a career.
33. He's still got some gas left in the tank. I think he can still play. It's hard to see. Yeah. It's hard to see this being the end of the line for Sherman. Up next, Olivier Vernon, 30 years old, defensive end.
Look at him.
Oh yeah, he looks like a monster. Now, Vernon has made 1 Pro Bowl during his career. He's got 63.5 sacks. He had signed a 5-year, $85 million contract with the New York Giants in 2016 with $52 million guaranteed. You don't hand out that kind of money unless you expect someone to be a game changer. But he only played 3 years in New York. He played 3 seasons off that 5-year, $85 million deal. So New York clearly was not happy with his production or lack thereof. He played last year for Cleveland. He's currently not on a team, but I think Olivier Vernon was good. I think the Giants definitely overpaid back then. I thought they were overpaying.
They were definitely thinking he would be something, way more than what he was.
What you thought you had a J.J. Watt here? You thought you had an Aaron Donald here? Like, what did you think you had here?
He's a good contributor. He's not going to change your whole defense. He's not going to be the reason why teams scheme a whole different style. It's just not going to happen.
No. I think he'll get a call. He's, like I said, he's only 30 years old. Plenty of gas left in that tank.
Yeah, him and the man you're seeing on screen right now, Geno Atkins. Green Bay is the only team in the league right now without a sack. 3 games have been played. 0 sacks.
0 sacks. So why don't you call up this man? He's made 75.5 of them throughout his career. Geno Atkins, 33-year-old defensive tackle. One of the better DTs, one of the best defensive tackles in the league over the last decade. Don't take my word for it. He was on the 2010s All-Decade team for the Hall of Fame. He's made 8 Pro Bowls in his career. And Geno Atkins has been an absolute beast.
Yeah, he was in Cincinnati for so long. Those up and down years.
It'll be hard to see him in another jersey, but I definitely want to because I don't think
I want to see him on a team like.
I don't think this is the end of the line for him either. I think he can still go.
Yeah, because
I could definitely see Green Bay signing him.
If you look, he contributed so much to Cincinnati, and I don't think many people realize just how much he contributed in Cincinnati. But if he were to go to Green Bay and be in these games where people are watching the Packers, they're getting those games.
I think a lot of people sleep on Geno because he was in a smaller market like Cincinnati.
You would really see what he's capable of.
Cincinnati's kind of like Cleveland or Jacksonville in the sense that, if you're really good here, you're not going to get as much recognition because of the, just you got that stench of that franchise on you. Like the only players in Cincy that were really getting love were AJ Green and Andy Dalton.
And then you got Joe Mixon.
And then Burrow came in, and all the eyes of the world were suddenly on the Natty. But up next, John Brown. Easily not as good as any of the other players we'll be talking about that are currently free agents.
He's got some good stints.
Yes. John Brown is a 31-year-old wide receiver. He had a career high of 1,060 receiving yards in 2019 and was cut by the Raiders in 2021. I think he still has...
He's going to get a call. He's a wide receiver.
I think he still has a few good years in him, but someone's going to have to get injured.
Yeah, it's definitely going to have to be something like that, or even like in the off season of maybe next year. If someone's not as deep at that position as they want to be, you can always call this man right here.
Yep. And up next, Todd Gurley.
This one hurts my soul.
It hurts your soul.
And you see the jerseys we're wearing. Like we've seen Todd Gurley.
You don't have to sell us on Todd Gurley. We knew what this man was coming out of college, coming out of the University of Georgia. We knew what he was. Now, Todd Gurley has been in 3 Pro Bowls. He was the 2017 Offensive Player of the Year. He is only 27 years old. Now, granted, 27, 28, 29, it's usually when running backs start to hit that steep decline. But Todd Gurley, during his short career, has 6,082 rushing yards, 67 rushing touchdowns in 6 seasons. He's only played a full 16-game season once in his career, though.
And it all comes down when they lost that Super Bowl. He just has not been the same.
When the Rams lost the Super Bowl to the Patriots, and Gurley only got about 4 touches in that game. What was it? 4 carries for 14 yards?
No, he had about 6 touches, I think. I don't know. It was a short amount.
They weren't playing him.
They're trying to limit him to keep his health, but you're in the Super Bowl.
You're in the Super Bowl. That's Tom Brady over there on the other sideline. You need more. You need more than just C.J. Anderson.
Like he had the very few amount of touches he had was more points than what they put up. They put up 3 points.
And just to put in perspective how good Todd Gurley has been, and he was drafted by the Rams, and he was eventually cut from the Rams, picked up by the Falcons, cut from the Falcons.
Underrated stats in Atlanta, too, when I looked at that. He did pretty well in Atlanta.
He did. I was surprised that Atlanta let him go. I was surprised when the Rams let him go, but everyone thinks that he's damaged goods.
It's just not the case. I wish someone.
But to put in perspective, his 79 scrimmage touchdowns are the most in the league since 2015. And prior to the start of the season, Davante Adams, wide receiver, Green Bay Packers, was second with 59.
That's 20 less.
Todd Gurley had been scoring 20 more touchdowns than the next leading scorer in the league, and he hasn't played a full season, except for once. Like, that's just how good Todd Gurley is when he's on the field.
It sucks, man.
Now, someone who has never had a problem staying on the field is this man, Frank Gore.
Frankie.
Frank Gore.
Remember when he was in San Francisco?
His best years were in San Francisco.
That was my childhood right there.
Frank Gore is a 38-year-old running back.
He just never.
He's made 5 Pro Bowls. He's on the Hall of Fame All 2010s team with Adrian Peterson. He has played 241 games and started in 218. Over 16 years. As a running back, the position with the shortest lifespan in the league. He's rushed for 16,000 yards, which is third all-time in the league. He's rushed for 81 touchdowns, which is tied for 19th. He's 15 yards shy of 20,000 career scrimmage yards. He has scored 99 total touchdowns. And he just never stopped going. He never stopped producing at a high level, no matter how old he got. But now, at 38 years old, after a 16-year NFL career, Frank Gore has announced that he's retiring from football. And he is stepping into the ring. He is starting a career in boxing.
Man. I got that man over anybody.
Is he trying to get CTE?
I don't know. No, I thought I might add a lot of people that would question why he keeps getting picked up over some of these younger guys.
Like my dad produces.
Like my dad would always say, or will always say, your best liability is your availability.
Frank Gore, unlike a lot of the players we've talked about so far on the show, has never been hampered with injuries. He has stayed healthy.
Constantly producing.
He has stayed healthy. He is not hampered with injuries. You never have to worry about him getting hurt. He's just always on the field. He's always producing. He didn't have a drop off in production when he got old. He kept going. And I thought he was going to keep playing until Frank Gore Jr. got into the league. But no, he's decided.
This one kind of caught me off. Well, definitely caught me off guard. Because not only is he just not doing football anymore, he's doing boxing. Like he's not done.
Yeah, I played 16 years in the NFL at the position that takes the most punishment in the NFL. And now I'm going to go and I'm going to start boxing. I'm going to take up a career in boxing. And he wants to do it because it's difficult.
Oh,
I guess football got too easy. It's like, I'm 38. This is still too easy. What to do. Boxing. Now, Frank Gore has been training for football and boxing during the off-season. He'd been doing boxing for a while. It would be how he would stay in shape for football season. But now he wants to do boxing full-time. He hired a boxing agent, Malachi Kawa, Kawa, K-A-W-A.
I don't know.
I don't either. And he says he loves boxing. He loves how challenging it is. So hats off to you, Frank, to go from this profession into boxing.
Individuals will never stop. Obstacles don't mean nothing.
But again, I thought he was going to keep playing until Frank Gore Jr. got into the league.
Yeah, he's his son at Southern Miss right now? You know, I guess not.
He's going into boxing.
Son's probably dead. What the heck? We talked about this.
No. You take it easy now. Nope. Boxing. That's what's next for Frank Gore. Now, one aging NFL veteran who is not waiting for a call is Danny Amendola. Amendola signed with the Houston Texans days before their Week 1 game against the Jacksonville Jaguars. And just like Mark Ingram, he lost 5 years right before our very eyes. He had 5 catches for
Everyone
30.
does against Jacksonville.
He had 5 catches for 34 yards and a touchdown. And no one was more surprised to see Danny Amendola on the field than his former teammate, Julian Edelman. Edelman said, quote, "Me and Danny Amendola this offseason, we both talked about retirement. I turn on the Houston game, my guy is scoring a touchdown. I thought we had a pact."
Did not even know that he was. So he legitimately thought that he was retired.
Oh, they were both going to retire. Like, that's it. That's the end of the line. And Danny got the call and was like, "Oh, I think I can still go, actually." Now, up next, we're going to be talking about this man.
Looking into our soul.
This is, as Stephen A. Smith would say of Aaron Rodgers, this is a bad, bad man. It's a bad, bad man. Derrick Henry.
Just for you people, like, everyone knows how much of a beast Derrick Henry is. Well, so far this season,
do they know?
I would hope they know. We know.
You should know by now. This man is huge.
Jaguar fans, he does a big run every single time.
Big, strong, fast.
He's everything. I thought I might add. Yes, he's leading the league in rushing yards right now, but he has 240 yards rushing, which is better than 20 NFL teams as a total.
Yep. And Derrick Henry, we're gonna put in perspective just how good this man is. He is the only person ever to rush for 2,000 yards in a single season in high school, college, and the NFL. That's the hat trick. That's the trifecta. No one has ever accomplished that, but Derrick Henry.
We knew about high school. You've
all
all seen the clips on social media in high school.
We live right here in Jacksonville, Florida, so we are very well aware of how Derrick Henry has been, dating all the way back to high school, his days in Yulee. King Henry. Now
Derrick had the King Henry rule in high school.
Now Derrick Henry has the most career games with 150 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns since 1950. Number 1, Jim Brown with 13. Number 2, LaDainian Tomlinson with 12. And then number 3, Barry Sanders and Derrick Henry with 10. Now all those running backs are in the Hall of Fame. They are all-time greats. Derrick Henry is in 3rd place. He's only 3 behind Jim Brown. And he's only played 80 games. He has only played 80 games.
I can't wait till this man retires.
And he's doing this in a pass-happy league. This is a pass-first league. This is the era of 5,000-yard passers, 50 touchdowns. Oh, no. You don't rush for 2,000 yards in a single season in the NFL anymore. Unless you're Derrick Henry.
How would you like to be Ryan Tannehill? Having A.J. Brown on one side, Julio Jones on the other, and just Derrick Henry in the backfield?
Ryan Tannehill has got it.
With on top of that, a pretty solid offensive line.
Yeah. Now, our Week 2 Offensive Player of the Week here on Sports Done Right is Derrick Henry. King Henry.
Like, look at that.
The Titans beat the Seahawks 33-30. Another very good game. There's been a bunch of good games played this season.
Look at 99 just smiling behind him. I'm not going to tackle him.
Oh, yeah, he's smiling. Oh, good. He made it past me. I don't have to get run over.
Number 2 is either was just stiff-armed or is about to get trucked. I can't tell.
If I'm number 2, I'm trying to jump out of the way.
I know. He looks like he's trying to get out of the way.
He got in front of Derrick Henry and was like, I made a terrible mistake. Now, Derrick Henry in this game had 35 carries for 182 yards, averaging 5.2 yards a pop, 3 touchdowns, and he caught 6 passes for 55 yards. He's catching balls now. They're getting him more involved in the passing game. That is absolutely terrifying.
I mean, like, there's just not much to say about Derrick Henry. It's like it's almost just expected for him to do this now.
He's going to dominate. Yeah, you're right. It is expected. I'll tell you what was not expected. There is a kid at Baker High School in Florida who broke Derrick Henry's single game rushing yard high school record, the state record.
I didn't think that was going to be broken anytime soon.
Like we said, Derrick Henry at Yulee set all kinds of records here in the state of Florida. We are well aware of that. But Baker High School running back Kayleb Wagner rushed for 535 yards and 6 touchdowns against South Walton.
I think Baker High's pretty close too, if that's the right one.
Baker wins 49-48, and Wagner breaks Henry's record of 502 rushing yards in one game. And here's the kicker. Kayleb Wagner has only one hand. He was born with one hand. Now, Derrick Henry personally congratulated Wagner, and Derrick Henry, I think, said he was going to send Wagner an autograph and a set of game-worn gloves to congratulate him for breaking the record. It was very, very nice to the kid.
Yeah, like obviously, like, no one like one hand breaking Derrick Henry's record in high school.
So Kayleb Wagner.
Props to you.
Kayleb Wagner is going to be a name to listen for. Can't wait to see what he does at the college level.
Oh, yeah. One hand obviously isn't going to stop him.
Yep. Now, our defensive player of the week is Tyrann Mathieu.
No other answer.
The Honey Badger. 6 tackles, 2 interceptions, 50 yards, and a touchdown. It wasn't enough for the Chiefs to get the win, but he did his part.
Yes.
Anything to say about the Honey Badger?
I mean, I found it pretty interesting that Tyreek Hill was held to 3 catches and Mathieu was right behind him at 2. But
that's right. He almost got more balls than Tyreek Hill.
And watching that game, I saw Lamar throw to him. Both interceptions were in the first quarter, I believe. They were both in the first quarter, and I was like, "Oh man, like this."
It was ugly.
This might get ugly, but obviously we talked about it earlier. It was a good, hard-fought win by the Ravens. But Tyrann Mathieu, he's just a ball hawk, man. And he can make hits too.
Look, for my money, this is the best safety in the NFL. He does it all. Now, the highest paid safety in the NFL is Jamal Adams, which brings us to your weekly reminder that Jamal Adams cannot cover. Jamal Adams, the highest paid safety in the league, has 2 career interceptions through 60 games in the NFL. Shaquem Griffin is a one-handed linebacker, and he recorded 3 interceptions through 40 games at UCF. Now, we established that Vince Wilfork and Jason Pierre-Paul have more interceptions than Jamal Adams, but a one-handed linebacker has more interceptions than Jamal Adams. Now, granted, this was college. Still, 3 is better than 2.
Yeah.
How are you catching less passes than a one-handed linebacker? And props to Shaquem Griffin. He has never let that one hand handicap him at all.
No.
Oh. He's probably an inspiration for guys like Kayleb Wagner.
Yeah, it just goes to show, like, it really doesn't matter. You see the numbers here for Shaquem Griffin. You saw the numbers earlier for Kayleb Wagner. It doesn't matter.
You can do anything you set your mind to. Anything. You can rush for you if you set your mind to it. You can rush for more rushing yards in a single game than arguably the greatest running back who has ever come out of your state. Well, Emmitt Smith came out of Florida. But Henry is on pace to be up there with Emmitt. On pace. If you set your mind to it, you can intercept more passes than the highest paid safety in the league. You can do literally anything you set your mind to. So, our hats off to Shaquem Griffin. Our hats off to Kayleb Wagner. And once again, this has been your weekly reminder that Jamal Adams cannot cover. Thank you for watching the show. If you enjoyed it, please like the video, subscribe to the channel for more. We'll be having a Tyrod Taylor special feature coming very soon. Joey should be back with us next week. We're going to try to get these videos up on Saturdays moving forward. We're going to try and have a set time. And again, the topics for every video will be timestamped in every video moving forward. Thank you very much. I've been Hunter Wright. This has been my brother Chase Wright. Now we are off to watch the Florida Gators football game.
Beat the Vols, baby.
Do the Vols know they're walking in, when they walk into the swamp, they're walking to their execution?
I don't know. But they're going to find out pretty soon, trust. But
Oh, yeah.
that's a different story.
Thank you once again. Please like, comment, share, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you all next week.